Preparing.
Okay, thank you. First order of business is attendance.
Preparing.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, let me just close out of this. All right, so we have Craig Leggett,
Here.
Michael Biddle, not yet, Brian Campbell,
Here.
Mike Grasso, Ginny Sullivan,
Here.
Mike Wild,
Here.
Dan Bruno,
Here.
Bruce Ferguson, Nick Caimano,
Here.
Dave O'Brien.
Here. We're missing three, Ally.
We have 7.
We have 7, we're missing 3. So Bruce and Mike will be joining us. And who else are we missing? Mr. Grasso. Okay. So first order of business is approval of minutes from December 21st, 2020 IDA board meeting. Do I have a motion to accept?
I'll move.
Do I have a second? Do I have a second? Craig Leggett? Any omissions or corrections? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Carried. We have the accounts payable. Any questions on the accounts payable? Motion to adopt the, to accept and pay the accounts payable.
So move. So moved.
Moved by Craig, second by Brian. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Carried. Next order of business, I'm going to move this around a little bit before Mr. Scala's here about his taxes. I know we've had some back and forth email today, but I think that I'll let George tell us where he's at this point. If you would, please, George. Oh, I can't. You're not coming across, George.
Yeah, you're not muted.
Hold on.
I heard him then, Dave.
George,
Can you hear me?
Very low.
just very low.
Okay. Oh, I might be, I'm
No, he's on mute.
Now you're on mute. Now you're on.
Yep. How did I just do that? How did I get to the settings?
Okay, we can hear you, so go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. I would like to just first say that my lack of communication on this is completely unacceptable, and there's no excuse. And I know that's part of the reason that it's escalated to this point. And there's no excuse for that. And I'm not trying to give an excuse, but I just want to relay that I acknowledge that is not acceptable. It's very easy for me to communicate with Ally. And I haven't done that, and I apologize. So in regards to the taxes, the situation that we're in I certainly have not forgotten about this. I have known that these obligations remain. We are in the assisted living business. I know the pilot, that the taxes that we're talking about is one of the properties. We do have 2 properties very close to each other in Cambridge. But again, I understand these taxes are related to one property. Both are assisted living. That's the business that we're in. There's really 2 things that have impacted our business. And then I'll talk briefly about what I feel is at least the short-term solution. We were mandated back in May to start twice weekly COVID testings for all of our employees at both of our homes. It did subsequently get declined to once a week, which is where we're currently at now. There is no reimbursement, no payment. the lab is telling, and our association's fighting, that they're not even able to bill staff's insurance for this. And we have been faced with bills that are now approaching $100,000 for this testing. Now, granted, that's both of the properties, and I know we're only talking about one, but our finances are on an operational basis intertwined. The second thing, COVID related, and we have fared better than I think others in the industry, but we have seen a decline in our census. It's very difficult. Potential residents and families are very hesitant to move their loved ones into our homes when they know that they're either not going to be able to visit them or have very limited visitation. We can't do tours, and we can do virtual tours and things like that. But our census, I don't want to say that that is the sole cause, because it's not, but it's certainly, we're looking at if we were not in COVID, we certainly would. Currently at the Cambridge today, we have 7 of our 35 rooms vacant, and that's a lot. That's 20%, and we should and always have been running at 95%. We do have a lot of move-ins lined in though, but that's a story for another time. So at the same point, we have been approved. Assisted living providers were approved back in August, September to apply for and receive CARES funding to offset COVID related financial impacts like I just have spoke of. We have been approved. I received the notification just within the end of December that our application was approved for funding. They don't release the amount that you're going to get, but per their calculations, it could be as high as $200,000. But it sounds kind of strange, but you don't know how much you're going to get until you actually get paid. I have been calling every week. When I called last week, I was told that money, they're just waiting for Health and Human Services to email them the amount or communicate with the agency that distributes it the amount, and they will deposit the money in our account. I haven't heard anything this week, but that money that will be coming soon. In the interim, and I know Allie did reach out to me today, and I have a rough idea of what the amounts are due. I know the only difference I think would be interest and late fees. But I am in a position to pay the village taxes. I right now today, I'm not in a position to pay the school taxes, but even without the receipt of the care funds, that should be able, not should, it can be accomplished by the end of this month. So I guess I would, and obviously if we get the CARES funding, I'm going to pay everything that's past due. And then I know we have a current bill that's due for the town and county, I think it is, for this, under this pilot. So I will pay that as well. So I guess I would ask for consideration to allow a brief period of time at the end of this month to address these tax bills prior to the board proceeding with recapture proceedings.
So from my standpoint, George, our biggest concern is lack of communication.
Yes.
We understand all businesses are having a hard time this year, some worse than others. We do understand the special impacts that COVID has had on facilities. So we do understand that, but I think lack of communication has been one of the biggest issues here. And George, this has not been an issue restricted just to 2020. I know that in past years, we've had the same issue of trying to get the taxes on, and you're incurring more penalties for yourself and interest for yourself. So I think that with the board's concurrence, that we understand your situation and would like you to work on paying these back and give us a schedule when you think you can, and I think you have already, and try and keep in that schedule. But I think importantly, we need a communication, and it's not, if it was just 2020, I would not be as concerned, but it was 2019, we had issues trying to get collect the money. So I will ask for the board, any comments from the board? Craig?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So George, that schedule you just lined out is a doable schedule. You'll take care of the village taxes, school taxes, then the town and county taxes in that order. Is that correct? Okay. And we'll have that written
The
out.
village taxes, I can, I'll work with Ally to, I can send in a check. I think she was gonna see if there's a way I could wire in the money for that. The school taxes will it'll probably be right around the last day of this month, based on projected receipts. And then the town and county would be in some point in the early part of February. Now, if when we get the CARES funding, that will certainly accelerate all of those dates that I just mentioned. I could be pay them immediately, but I just, I can't guarantee that we're going to receive that money in the next few weeks. We should, but I can't guarantee that. So village this week, school would be, I think next, I got to look at the calendar when the end of the month is. Well, yeah, it'd be the end of next week. And then the town and county for now, I would just like to say the month of February, but I can communicate with Ally. And again, hopefully we'll get the CARES funding in before then, and then I can just address them all in an accelerated fashion.
Okay. Is the board satisfied with that? Okay. Well, thank you for joining us, George. Just communication is a great thing to do, and especially when this is a contractual issue. And we get talked to by the taxing authorities also, so looking for the payment. So please bear with us, George, and I hope you can make the payments as you've described. Thank you for attending, George. We appreciate it.
Appreciate it, and I do apologize. And, again, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Next order of business going to the top, Nolan contract update. The contract's out for final approval. We should get that back pretty soon. I know that Mr. Nolan was looking at getting in front of the Kingsbury Planning Board fairly quickly. He's hired an engineering firm to help him out with the decision. So that's what I know at this point. Any questions? There is Why Not Services is still interested in a lot. They're acquiring another business, so they may need more land, but we'll see what happens with them after the acquisition of the building. Any questions on either one of those two?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Craig.
remind us what the Why Not services are.
They are going to do, geez, it's been a long since I thought of that. They are doing automated, one thing they're doing is they're doing automated fertilization services. There's one thing they're doing, they're going to have machines, electronic robot lawnmowers. They're also going to do some testing on how to properly fertilize lawns in the Adirondack Park. The third thing they're doing is they're going to use it for their other business, which is a garbage business, which they're not going to store anything in the site. They're just going to park their trucks at night. Everything else is going to the incinerator on a daily basis. So they will be storing nothing in there in terms of waste or anything else like that. So that's what they're about.
Thank you.
I did notify you, we have someone who's potentially interested in that back 35 acres. We're still working on that. We'll let you know when we get a contract on that. But that would be it.
Dave, weren't they also working with herbicides or pesticides or something?
Yeah, that's what herbicides or pesticides. Yeah, that's the other thing.
That was the other thing, because I remember Mr. Biddle asking about whether they were storing a big amount there, and they said no, they were doing research or testing or something. Is that right?
Yes. Mostly research and testing.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Any questions about the park? The parcels contain the road acquisition update. Kara, did you hear any feedback from Mike?
No, I didn't hear back from him today.
We got the deed signed by Mr. Longi. We found a couple of corrections and he's supposed to be making the corrections to the deeds. So we should have those pretty soon. Sales and marketing. We'll talk a little bit more about that down below. Anything to chime in, Dan?
No, not at this point, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Ally, this is yours. Regulatory training?
Yes, as part of your meeting packets, once again, you did receive where we're at with everybody's regulatory training for all the members. Not much has changed. Nothing has changed since our last meeting. So if you need the links to get to the PowerPoints, if you need anything, let me know. I will send it to you. Thank you.
Okay, so would you please complete that for Ally? We'd like to get it off the agenda, please. There'll be a 1 penny penalty for everyone who doesn't, daily for everyone who doesn't complete it.
Is it just me that you're referring to, or is there more?
I plead ignorance.
I'm here, Ally. Here's this pays for me and this pays for me and Campbell.
Unfortunately, it me. This is a regulation that
I know.
my higher powers than me. I'm the messenger.
Oh,
As secretary and treasurer of this fine organization, Ally is 100% right. And the secretary and treasurer will complete these this week, Miss Ally. Seriously. Thank you.
thank you very much. And
You might have to
Brian,
send me the link.
Okay.
how many times do we have to send you the link, Brian?
Ally, send it to me again too, please.
Send it to everybody.
Thank you.
No, I've completed mine.
Jimmy, stay awake.
Okay. That's all for old business. First item of business on new business, we have received a question by people about why they can't attend a Zoom meeting. As public policy, there is no regulation that public comment needs to be allowed at a meeting such as this. That includes Warren and Washington County and other counties. We do provide the ability through YouTube to watch the meeting, which satisfies the legal requirements from the state of New York for using Zoom meetings. And there was something previous to that. So we do provide that. We also provide the ability for members to comment by either calling us, by texting us, or by sending an email. And we will answer during public comment meeting, but I would follow that. And I know that Warren County follows that. I know that Washington County follows that. Is there any difference in the board in following that policy? Or would like to opt for other things? I find it difficult when there's 15 people on the screen to follow what's going on. If we add another 10 or 15 to even 5 on the board, it's hard to really on small screens to track things. So that's my position. And since there is no ongoing public comment during a meeting, I'm satisfied that that policy would suffice. Does any of the board members have any other opinions? Craig?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Warren County Board of Supervisors and the committees have members on Zoom, and then the rest can comment through the YouTube channel. And that seems to work pretty well for folks that do want to make a comment. We just need to check in at the appropriate time in the meeting to see if there are any public comments.
Can I respond to that? So I did try that for the nomination meeting, and you remember you all got this feedback. So I can't have the Zoom meeting on this computer and the YouTube live on this computer without getting the feedback, but I can't see any comments from YouTube unless it's open. So how do you all get around that? For instance, right now, right?
I think
live
Hire an egghead who knows what he's doing.
I think with the Warren County Board of Supervisors, they're on separate devices or machines or what have you. So like, as you said, Ally, you can't have it on the same machine, but you can have different links, if you will. And that's how it's done there. I know the same thing with the City of Glens Falls Planning Board. The YouTube is on either by phone or what have you. And the meeting is on Zoom.
So and what you're saying is that she was getting a feedback, right?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, so if you have, yeah.
They're even close to each other, wouldn't I still have the same problem?
Yes,
No, because
you
you
would.
mute the other machine. So if you had it on your desktop, you can mute that machine so the audio doesn't come out there. The problem is you can't mute both, mute the computer, it's gonna mute everything.
Okay, I'll try that next time.
Okay. I have brought up YouTube. I have YouTube going on my IDA lap, or not IDA, my personal iPad here. So anyone who wants to do that can make comments. They're also welcome to call me on my cell phone at 518 or text me on my cell phone at 518-866-1022, and we will get that other corrected. But we have one watching now, so that is a vehicle for them to either call or contact us during the meeting.
Was that Mike Biddle's phone number you just gave out?
Everyone in the world's got it. Who cares?
What's the difference?
Yeah.
You
He
all
doesn't
gotta,
know the answers either.
you gotta answer to Mrs. Biddle, so do what you want.
Okay. So that's the process we'll take. We can't get comments. We can get someone call me or text me, and I'm more than welcome to talk to them. Member surveys, Ally?
Yeah, so far I have only received 3 member surveys. I want to let you know that this is confidential. No one else gets these responses, and it is necessary for me. Part of the ABL reporting that I do every year is I compile everyone's answers, and I submit that in with the ABL reporting. So right now, with only 3 responses, if that's all I have, that's what the ABO is going to see, that only 3 members have filled out these surveys, which probably doesn't make us look good. So if you could, and if you need a copy of it, let me know. If you could fill that out and send it to me, that'd be awesome.
Ally,
Who gets who are the 3 people who get the prize?
Ally, could you kindly put that on the email you're sending out about the,
Training, yes.
the other one, the training? Thank you. That one over there. Hey, what is it 10 o'clock at night already?
You can't even say training. How are you gonna do training?
Okay. Next order of business, we've taken care of ICC 4, acquisition dewatering facility. We'll be talking about later in the meeting. We have in front of us WDR letter of engagement. Would you cover that, please, Ally?
Yes, in your meeting packets, you guys did receive the letter of engagement from Mr. Colin Coombs from WDR. Although we had agreed last year that we would keep them in employ for the next 3 audits, 19, 20, and 21, he did want to have separate letter of engagements for each year. So basically, it's just a reiteration of only 2020. And once the board approves this, and then we'll readdress this for the CDC when that meeting comes up, I will send him the approved letters of engagements, and he can go ahead and start on our 2020 audit.
So moved.
Brian? You moving it, Brian?
Yep.
Moving by Brian. Do I have a second?
Second, then a question, Mr. Chairman.
Second by Mr. Leggett. And the question is?
$9,100, is that the term of the agreement? And how does that relate to other years?
What was the price for this, Ally?
I don't know the price specifically, but we did, it is the same for years 19, 20, and 21. There will be no change in price, but I can get you the exact amount and let you all know. I'd
It is
have-
$9,100 plus out-of-pocket expenses.
And that's what we have been paying?
We have been paying. The particular challenge in this is we have several pilots. They have to review each pilot. So that's the challenge.
I see. Thank you.
All in favor?
Shouldn't we take a roll call
Aye.
on this for dollars?
Roll call? Yeah.
Okay, Craig Leggett,
Aye.
Michael Biddle,
Yes, ma'am.
Brian Campbell,
Yes,
Mike Grasso,
Yes.
Kitty Sullivan,
Yes.
Mike Wild,
Yes.
Dan Bruno,
Yes.
Nick Caimano,
Yes,
Bruce. Bruce, are you on the phone? I don't know whose number that is.
it's on there twice.
Grasso.
It's me, and I'm having trouble with the volume. I can barely hear you guys, but I got it up to my ear, so it's working.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, last person, Dave O'Brien.
Yes. Next on the agenda is TDI application. We have a resolution that we will acknowledge the receipt of the application and enable the IDA to begin negotiating the pilot agreement with TDI. For those who don't remember, TDI is Transmission Developers, who is developing the line from Canada to New York City for Quebec hydropower.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move.
Moved by Mr. Biddle. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I'll
Second
second.
by Dan Bruno and Nick Caimano. I will remind you that we have hired a special counsel whose expenses will be covered by TDI during this process. And we will be negotiating with them starting probably next week sometime.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Greg.
the application that was sent through doesn't seem to be complete. There's a lot to be determined on it.
Yeah, I mean, the resolution, we wanted to get the resolution on record, so we have acknowledged that they've submitted an application, it's in our hands. All the resolution really does is authorize us to start discussions with them. So there'll be another resolution if the IDA moves forward with this project that formally acknowledges its completeness. They're going to have to complete and execute the page 14, which is our traditional pilot schedule. We really wanted just to be sure that we formally acknowledge that they've submitted something so we could start negotiations, and so that we can be sure that we formalized all the terms of the application. There's about 10 or so pages of acknowledgements and representations that a company makes when they execute that application. We just wanted to be sure that all those become effective upon our acknowledgement of receipt of that. So this resolution doesn't tie us into any sort of approval or anything of that nature. We can certainly ask for any clarifications to the application or additional information or anything of that nature.
We also want to accept it so that they ensure that they're aware they need to cover our attorney fees.
Okay.
As indicated by the application. Yes, Brian.
so they're reimbursing us for the fee we're paying the negotiator, or are they paying them directly?
They will probably bill us and we'll have to,
Yeah, they'll probably, I think we have to work out that mechanism, but generally what happens is, you know, the invoice is submitted and they either pay the attorney directly or they pay the IDA directly. But I don't recall what Joe Scott's letter said in that nature. I think it says that he bills them directly.
Because usually you work for the person that's paying you, and that concerns me a little.
That's standard practice. All our legal fees for all our projects are paid by the company, not us.
I understand that if they're reimbursed. I don't understand if they're paying them directly.
Oh,
Wait, what did you say?
he said he didn't understand we were paying directly.
Oh, well, you would only
Yeah, if
pay.
they're
The IDA generally only pays those fees to the attorney once the IDA has received the money from the company, like a pass-through.
Correct.
right, it's not direct then. Okay.
No, it's not direct.
Right, yeah, I'm thinking direct the other way.
Yeah. We may sometimes request a deposit from people. Part of our process is we request a deposit against the future legal fees, which we hold in escrow. Okay. Any other question on TDI? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, Executive Director, I sent out a proposed sort of job description / discussion about hiring a executive director to go out and communicate with companies, communicate with local organizations, communicate with public about what we have to offer, and to coordinate that. I've talked with potentially another organization who would potentially also like to take advantage of this and work out the details. So another IDA. So we could look at sharing things jointly. So is there any comments on this? I mean, this is something we talked about before, but there's a lot of agencies, a lot of people out there. And in my opinion, I think we need someone to sort of coordinate those issues. And, you know, we have so much going on that one person can't do it.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Craig.
So if this was shared, it's going to be so many hours per week, give or take, for the Warren Washington County IDA?
We talked about last year this being part-time, like half-time.
Meeting.
I think that's yet to be decided, but I think we are going to talk with some other people, but we should actually start thinking about, is this something we really want to do? And most organizations have a full-time executive director plus their staff to do the work. So we've got 2 large counties and we have a lot of companies out there that could use the information. Whether or not they choose to work with us, that's their choice. It's a
All the way up. Volume's all the way up.
it's a cost benefit analysis they have to do.
I noticed that Franklin County IDA has taken on tourism promotion from Roost, who did it for that northern area. Interesting branch out that they have for their IDA.
I have to go get my car.
This man.
So what's the consensus of the board? You want to follow this path or?
Financially, can we afford to do that?
Right.
In terms of revenues coming in this month, we will have covered our expenses for the year and have some additional. So we also need to make sure we're out looking at how we find, how we prospect to find, not prospect, how we get the message out, because there are other companies could use our help, especially in this time frame. So, I mean, it would be a trial, but it's certainly something that we would like people to find, and if they're paying their own way forward. Brian,
I guess I'd ask it another way. I'd be more inclined to do it if we couldn't afford not to do it. Have we reached that point yet?
Well, I think we started off, Dave, doing something. You send me out on the street and we go chase them down and see what happens. I don't think we have enough money to be doing a test out there in the street. I just don't think so. I don't think we're going to get, I just don't put, I think what we're doing is fine right now. You could push it up further. You could do more. You could send all of us out to follow it up. I don't think hiring somebody is going to pay off. I just don't see it. I don't see it.
well, on the flip side, we went out and we followed the process, and we generated interest from projects. I mean, it does show that it is successful in reaching out there and getting prospects.
I don't think we should do that.
I will tell you that I do not have the time to spend to put the effort in to do all this.
You don't have to do it. You've got 8 other people around. And I do some of them. If you give other people something to do, we go out and find them. I just don't think we should hire somebody. We have somebody already on the real estate side. And how much you saw what we did with that contract.
Mr.
Nothing.
Kelly has left CBRE, or not CBC Prime, off on his own. So
do whatever you want.
Yeah, I'm back to my original question. I agree with Nick that as long as we can keep up or catch up, we're doing well, but I really wouldn't want to hire someone until we're to the point where we can't afford to not have one.
I'll ask a question a different way.
But things would have to be in a little
10 members of this
different
board.
situation at that point.
There's 10, last year, there's 10 members of this board. Is everyone willing to commit to go out and contact all the organizations out there? And Nick's done a great job, but it's been limited.
But we're all in the same boat. Why don't you just, it's going to come from us. It's not, if we hire somebody, there's no guarantee of any money coming back at all. There's no, I just don't see it.
Okay, fine.
Mr. Chairman?
On the other hand, I can only imagine how much time Dave's putting in on his time when, he's not getting paid for this. This stuff takes a lot of time.
Well, there's 2 different things. Dave, you're right. Dave does a yeoman's job at what he does. He does it a lot. But what we're talking about is going up and look under the bushes and bringing business in. I think that Dave is looking for some help on his side, and I think that's probably okay. I don't know. How about Allie? Can we give her more to do? I don't know. Can we put someone new in the office? I don't know. I don't see I see 2 different things. I see a sales job, but for all of us to do, and I see the follow-up job, which Dave is doing by himself. So the question is, how do we help Dave or whoever else is the chairman?
Any other comments?
Mr. Chairman, thank God, if you have a second.
Someone's got TikTok going?
Who's that?
I think Mike Grasso's in a car. He needs that.
Grasso's.
I am. It's the only way I could get audio. I couldn't get audio on this brand new iPhone 12, which I'm about to run over.
Well, the interesting thing, Michael, is the fact that many of the time we're looking in your ear. We're not. We don't even see your face.
Well, now you're looking at my sunroof.
No, looking at nothing.
Okay, that's good then.
So Dave, my thought is this isn't the only organization in Warren and Washington County that's trying to bring businesses here. Warren County has an Economic Development Corporation, Washington County does. Why don't we see about finding one resource to do work that probably all three of these organizations can use some help with? And maybe it's not a full-time individual, it's just a part-time.
Yeah. Well, I would suggest this. We have a very excellent executive committee. I would suggest that you all reach in your wallet, go out and have a hamburger, and come up with how we're going to administer and get more business and do the administrative work that goes along with it. It's true what Grasso said. We can't have O'Brien doing all of this or whoever else is in that chair. But how do we do it? Well, we got an executive committee. Come up with an answer.
How about
Mike,
a
can you mute
partnership
that
with?
phone?
How about a partnership with EDC?
How?
I don't know. That they have an executive director. It seems to me we've got all these splintered organizations. We got a Glens Falls, the IDA. We got our IDA. We got the EDC, and we're all trying to accomplish somewhat of the similar goal. It would just seem to me that if we could more coordinate this stuff and maybe utilize some of their people, because they have staff, do they not?
EDC doesn't. Well, let's talk about what Bartholomew did. Most of that was done by Bartholomew, and he had 2 or 3 other people. I would suggest that you. Hello. I would suggest that you get together and decide what you want to do. Maybe you want to have Dave. Maybe you want to have that conversation with Siplin, with the Chamber of Commerce, with somebody in Washington County, and see how you work together. I don't know, but somebody has to come up with an answer and then follow it through. Hiring somebody right now where we don't, as we're seeing right here, as we don't know what the hell we're doing, is a waste of money as far as I'm concerned, until we know exactly what we want to do.
This is part of the discussion to figure out what we want to do and how we want to do it.
That's what we're doing. We're discussing it.
I will tell you that there are any number of the board members here who are very active, have their own jobs to do, and can they carve out points of time to go and do some of this stuff, to go out to regional Chamber of Commerce meetings, talk to EDC members, talk to board members, talk to companies, organizations. Do they have time to do that?
I do. Somebody else might have to it.
I have some time that I'm willing to do, and I've already talked to Glens Falls National. I had a conversation with Dave Kaiser the other day, which will continue. But it's, I think we'd have to be more coordinated as
Right.
opposed to each of us just like being free agents.
That's right. Mike,
Isn't that
you look
what
like you're going to
this
say
person-
something.
Isn't this what we depend on this purpose to do, is coordinate all this and pull it together and put the mission statement together to do it? That's what I'd expect out of any executive directors, do this job for us. I'm not sure Ally has the time to do this job that needs to be done. I'll let her speak for herself, but I've had a partial conversation with her.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mike?
I think a whole bunch of good points have been made. And I do agree with Mr. Caimano that the executive committee would be the best place to have this conversation, take ideas from all board members. I'm not unincluding or whatever the word is.
Excluding.
Brian, I'm speaking Hebrew today, so you know what I'm talking about. Not including anybody on the board, but let's have a focus. I think there's 2 things we have to look at. I'll be speaking White Creek in a minute, Jimmy, so wait your turn. I think there's 2 things we have to look at. Number one, there's a huge workload on Mr. O'Brien's plate. Bottom line, there are other people helping him both out in front and also behind the scenes. And Mr. O'Brien just acknowledged that, and he is true on that. And I do believe that most of the folks that are helping Mr. O'Brien are already overfilled. That's number one. Number two, I'm the executive director piece, whether part-time, full-time, whatever, I think we have to ask the question of what's the opportunity cost, which is what Mr. Campbell was referring to earlier. Are we missing something because we don't have something? And I do agree there is something we're missing. But I also think that Mr. Grasso, Mike, is that a Lincoln you're driving? Because that definitely sounds like a Lincoln ding.
It's a Cadillac.
Ah, see, I knew it was American. Thank you. With that, let's get together, but I don't want to have this stretch out till April or May. This is really something we've got to address quickly on this to help alleviate some pain points that we have here at the IDA. Again, I would suggest the executive committee, and I would suggest that we move forward on this quickly. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Craig?
Yeah. When's our next executive committee meeting? Is that the 3rd?
Somewhere on there. Ally's got the schedule.
It's the 3rd.
It's the 3rd, 2 weeks. I'll volunteer to pull together a little survey of other IDAs in our region to see what they do and how they're organized with an executive director. Maybe a little compensation schedule, if that's obtainable, present it to the board, the executive committee on that Wednesday. Move this forward a little bit more.
I would suggest, Craig and Dave and Michael, that you do that as a one item meeting. Just focus in, because Michael, you and I have talked, and Dave and I have talked. I've been back almost 2 years now. We've been talking about it for 2 years. You guys need to get together and just talk about it, but don't talk about anything else. Don't worry about anything else. Just come up with something, and if it's nothing, then it's nothing. But at least you put all of your brain power into one item.
I think you'll find your survey is that Warren County or Warren Washington County may be the only IDA that has the chair doing as much work as they're doing right now.
Maybe we'll find that.
Al, you had
And we'll pay you.
Al, know that?
Yeah, Chairman, I know I'm a guest here tonight, but if you'll indulge me 30 seconds or so, would it be possible to engage a local company like Black Dog or Trampoline to do some kind of cooperative advertising for like the EDCs, the IDAs, and so that you drive business to you rather than you driving to business?
It's possible. I think that's one thing
Good
that
idea.
got to come out of this. So we'll see.
On that though, chamber member, what?
Okay. So we'll continue this. Craig's going to take the lead on this. Financially, I will say that I do believe that getting the message out there is going to be financially beneficial to the IDA. I think there's a lot of companies out there that don't know what we do. And even though we reach out, most of what we see is in the paper. We see something in the paper, hear something for someone, we're reaching out. We still need to get the message out to all of Warren and Washington County that there's assistance available if they qualify, meet our specs, meet our requirements. So I just leave it at that. So conversation to continue. As I said, I'm going to change the story a little bit. I will ask if there's any public comments. Do I have any public comments? I'm watching chat. I'm watching chat on YouTube, and I'm watching my phone. I don't see anything here. The next two items. I'd like to go in executive session for, and that is the acquisition of property, potential acquisition of property, and personnel issues. So, having said that, I asked Al to join us today because he has an input on one of the conversations. So I will ask for a motion to go into executive session, please. Motion by Brian. Do I have a second? Second by Dan Bruno. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ally, can you kill